Assalamualaikum dan selamat malam pada semua ya.
Salam doktor.
Okey, alhamdulillah kita jumpa lagi walaupun di virtual platform. So before we start with our class, so for Muslim, it's better to get some blessing by reciting Surah Al-Fatihah. And for those who non-Muslim, you also can recite your own prayers to get some blessing. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya, ya. Okey kelas, I rasa belum terlambat lagi untuk I ucapkan selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, maaf zahir batin pada you all semua. For those yang dah habis puasa sunat 6 Syawal, tahniah saya ucapkan. For those yang belum habis, teruskan insya-Allah. So kita masih lagi ada berbaki dalam beberapa hari saja lagi, kurang daripada 10 hari saya rasa. And for today, we are going to proceed on 2 chapters, which is a very brief chapters. So we are going to cover on what is debt and mortgage markets in Malaysia, and also some information on derivative markets in Malaysia. So we go for debt and mortgage market first, okay? So these two market points are very essential in Malaysia financial system. So this market also is very significant in providing the liquidity and also the capital cash flow that influence the major either personal or commercial investment in the financial markets. So, in another words, debts and mortgage are also applicable either in the individual investors or individual users or individual financial users in the financial markets, and they also are significantly applicable to be used for those who are operate as a financial business, for those who are operating as a business owner or commercial business owner in the financial system. So before we go further, it is very important to understand what is a debt actually, okay? So I think all of you have a really good understanding whenever I said a debt, okay? So maybe some of you are really well known with these terms, okay? Because since you are accounting students and you are really familiar on how to recognize a debt transaction, for instance, right? So maybe you are in your fingertips on to recognize whenever how we need to recognize a debt recognitions, whenever how we need to recognize a debt discounted recognitions. Perhaps all of you are still remember on that point. For debt, it is a fundamental transaction that money has been borrowed from one party from another party. Okay, debt is a fundamental transaction of money that has been borrowed from one party to from another party with agreement that it will be repaid. Okay, with the agreement that it will be repaid. If there is no agreement that that money going to be repaid to the lender, so we are not going to classify them as a debt. And this debt is usually accompanied with the interest. Okay, in the economic context, okay, class, in the economic context, debt allow individuals or even companies and even governments to invest in new ventures project in order to expand their existing operations beyond with the financial resources that are actually available to them at that time. So this capacity actually is going to the leverage, or is going to be accommodation for the future cash flow that may be critically need by any parties, either it's come from the individuals, either it's come from. So you need to understand, even governments also make a debt. Okay, but normally governments we issue debt based on the long-term debt, and we are normally call them as a bond or sukuk after this. We are going to touch about that after this. So before we go further, it's very important to all of you talking about the debt and mortgage in the financial market system, especially in Malaysia. So either debt or mortgage that you are concerned as your financial instruments. So it was governed by two-tier financial system. Okay, two-tier financial system, which is reflect to the conventional financial system and Islamic financial system. Okay, these two financial system is the integrations of that actually offer a comprehensive financial products. Okay, that provide the inclusiveness of the requirements with the various of the capital market players in Malaysia. Okay, some of the capital market players in Malaysia, they are much more prefer to have a conventional part, and some of them are much more prefer to have a Islamic financial instrument. And this two system also provide the debt instrument and also provide a mortgage instruments for your informations. So we go a little bit for mortgage, okay? As you can see in the, actually you can refer my explanation by looking at my diagram. Okay, actually this diagram, I have prepared this diagram based on my written note. If you don't like this diagram, you can easily modify them. And I just plug in the link of this diagram in clip. Okay, you can modify this diagram based on your own understanding, based on your own preference, by using a whimsical platform. Okay, whimsical platform. You can easily sign up for this platform and you can easily make your own mind mapping, so it will help you a lot while reading my written notes. Okay, so back to the mortgage. Okay, mortgage is a type of a debt that specifically designed for financing real estate purchases. Okay, I'm repeat, mortgage is a type of debt specifically designed for financing real estate purchases. Okay, it's specifically designed for financing real estate purchases. The borrow amount is a secured against the property purchased until the loan is paid off by the borrower. Okay, mortgage are considered as a very significant instrument in a personal finance in Malaysia. So because it's influencing the residential property market by extension, the numbers of related industries such as constructions, real estate, and even for home residence improvements. So when we go for the Malaysia financial landscape, okay, we need to understand, that these two financial instrument was governed by the Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, it was governed by Bank Negara Malaysia under a specific framework. That this framework is going to be function as to ensure the stability and also to promote the security of the financial operations within the country, and also it is essential to instill the confidence among of the investors or among of the capital market players. Okay, because you need to understand whenever we involve in the capital market players, actually this capital market are not only exist for the Malaysian people, but they also exist for the foreign people. Whenever they think Malaysian is the best place to invest, whenever they think Malaysian is the best place to get their trading, so they can have some same sort of facilities on what we actually have from our financial assistance instrument. Okay, so I'm going to touch a little bit on there are a few type of debt instruments in Malaysia currently. So for this time, I'm going to touch on major debt instrument that we have at our financial system, which is uh, government bond, or we call them as a Malaysian government securities and Islamic sukuk. Okay, this particular financial instruments is actually refer to the long-term financial instrument given by Malaysian government to the governments, and the governments we actually use that funds to make it infrastructure development. They are going to use that funds to provide some of physical infrastructure to the local citizens. So since we have some information regarding the conventional and Islamic financing system. Have, and as I mentioned to you in the last chapter, chapter, either in chapter 2 or chapter 1, okay, since we are talking about the Islamic financial institutions, so what the most important part that you need to come across in your mind is you need to have, whenever you are going to discuss about the Islamic financial system, so it was governed by the Islamic Financial Services Act. And whenever you are going to discuss with the conventional financial system, and that was governed by the Financial Services Act. Okay, these two financial reporting standard are specifically designed for the financial institutions. So it's nothing to do with the public listed companies, because the public listed companies, they have their own specific financial reporting standard, which is we call them as a MFRS, right? So I'm really hope all of you have some basic understanding on how to differentiate the applications of the MFRS, IFSA or FSA, or even if you are dealing with the non-public listed companies, you also have some basic understanding on which standards that you need to have, which is it must be focused on the Malaysian private entity reporting standard, which is we call them as a MPERS, right? So actually I have easily wrap up the most important part that you need to have in your mind regarding the debt and mortgage markets. So I'm going to touch a little bit on derivative, okay, class, okay, derivative. So derivative is a highly specialized of area of finance. Okay, so derivative are very sophisticated financial instruments that play a very important role in the modern financial landscape for risk management especially, and speculative investment. Okay, for risk investment especially, and speculative investment. So when there is a speculative investment, so there is that instrument. This instrument is actually leave some um, leave uh, some academic debate. So I should call them as an academic debate, because some of the Islamic leaders has claimed, okay, these particular instruments are not permissible to be applied in Islam, because it was involved with the uncertain financial transaction in the future. So for your information, for any kind of the financial transaction that having uncertain element, which is you are not sure going to be happen for the next 5 years, you are not sure what's going to be happen for the next 3 years or 2 years, so you should not involve with that particular financial instruments. That one of the opinion in the Islamic thoughts. But according to the modern Islamic thoughts, we actually are allowed to apply with the Sharia principle, but majority of our Islamic opinions are agreed that whenever we have some alternative to make our investment, so we should have preferred to do something that we are really certain to get involved. In other words, since we have a lot of alternative of investment activities, so we should have some you know we should have some action that we need to avoid to get involved with this kind of the financial instruments. But this actually is up to the individual itself, okay, on how they can claim, on how they can practice, and how they can understand the applications of the derivative itself. Okay, so let me define briefly define what is a derivative. Okay, so a derivative can be easily understood as a financial contract that these values is dependent on derived from the performance of an underlying asset, underlying entity such as asset or index or interest rate. Okay, this instrument allow market participants to manage the risk or speculate. I don't like the words of speculate, but I need to spell out even. Okay, because whenever you are going to speculate things, especially in the accounting part, especially when it was involved in the financial parts, actually you are making some risk to your investors or even to your shareholders, okay, or even speculate to on future movement of the underlying entity without the need to directly trade into the asset itself. Okay, so in another words, derivative is actually as an instrument, okay, is a financial instrument that its value is totally depend from the performance of an underlying asset. If you are talking about asset, or if we are talking about index, or if we are talking about interest in the future, okay, in the future, this instrument allow market to hedge against risk. It seems like you are gambling. It seems like you are gambling. It seems like you are expecting that particular price or that particular index or that particular interest rate is going to be increased since the increment of the interest rate is going to be favorable in your side, or you are going to also to expect some of the interest rate is going to be decreased whenever that decreasing of the interest rate is going to be favorable into your side. Okay, so the role of Bursa Malaysia in controlling the derivative instrument was governed by the Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad. Okay, Bursa Malaysia Derivative Malaysia Berhad. Okay, BMD Bursa Malaysia Derivative Berhad is actually wholly owned subsidiary by Bursa Malaysia. Okay, it's actually a wholly owned subsidiary by Bursa Malaysia, and it provide and operate and maintain a future and options exchange. They offer a diverse range of commodity or even equity, and they offer also a financial derivative products. And most of the time, whenever you go for derivative instrument, you always uh, being provided, okay, you always being more provided with some sort of a commodity instrument or commodity derivative instrument, because that we classify them as the major part of the commodity, the major part of the instrument under a derivative contract. Okay, under the derivative contract. So the role of the Bursa Malaysia is they are going to be considered as a main platform in providing a variety derivative product in Malaysia. So Bursa Malaysia Derivative will ensure that derivative trading is conducted in a secure platform and will be conducted in a monitored environment, which help in maintaining a market integrity and attracting investment. Even this just a textbook sentence, or this is just in theory. Actually, this is just in theoretical parts, but in reality, whenever you are dealing with something in the future, so that we cannot put 100% whether our palm oil price going to be increased in the next 2 years. How many of you in this class can really sure, okay, let's say our palm oil price at this moment for 1 ton is 1,000, right? And some of you have going to uh, buy the instrument for the oil palm, so they are going to invest their money for the oil palm commodity, and instead of 1,000 for 2024, they are expecting for 2030, so the oil palm price going to be 3,000 per ton. How many of you we are really sure that price going to be appear and going to be really exist in the next 5 years? We cannot. The answer is we cannot 100%, and we cannot 100% put in our confirmation whether this particular commodity is going to be increased on what we actually expected on the initial place. Okay, so for Bursa Malaysia is actually they are governed with the Bursa with the derivative contract or derivative instrument by promoting a secure transaction, by providing monitored environments also. And also they actually, as I mentioned to you, they're actually helping the users in maintaining the market integrity. Okay, maintaining market integrity is a very important part, which help to give you a very significant informations, because whenever you are dealing with the derivative market, you need to assume you are actually dealing with an uncertain financial transaction in the future, events. Okay, so apart from that also, we need to understand, okay, derivative also serve as a powerful tools for risk management by allowing businesses or investors to hedge against the price. As I mentioned to you, they are going to use this particular instrument to hedge against the price. Okay, whenever they need to buy 1,000 per ton on 2024, so some of the transaction they actually expecting on the next 5 years the fuel price going to be down, so they need to buy on the next 5 years, so they need to buy with the price for the next 5 years, so they need to pay for the next 5 years, let's say $800 or $800 per ton. So $800 will be considered as a 5 years ahead selling price instead of $1,000 per ton for the current transaction of the derivative contract. So, by understanding how derivative function and their strategy important in the financial planning and risk management, you actually should have some expectation. Okay, you actually have some expectation. Okay, in our financial market, we actually having a very diverse financial instrument. Okay, not even with the equity instrument. Equity instrument it's like you are going to put your money 1,000 by buying shares in any selected companies in Malaysia, either through IPO subscription, or also you also can make your transaction through the derivative contract, for especially you are dealing with the future contract and transactions. So these two particular chapters class is a continuation from debt and mortgage actually. So debt and mortgage is one of the instrument of the debt instrument. Derivative is the investment instrument. Okay, derivative is an investment instrument. So debt and mortgage can be considered as a financing instrument. Okay. So I have classified these two. I have summarized. Okay, I have summarized these two particular chapter by providing you very brief mind mapping diagram. You can refer to my diagram while you are reading my written notes, and you can also freely update, okay, the diagram based on your preference needs. So provided you need to read first. Okay, I recommend you to read first on my written notes, and then you are going to have a good understanding, a good picture on how the diagram was being prepared based on the chapter 3 and chapter 4. Okay, that's all from my part. It's a very brief explanation. Okay, as I mentioned to you, okay, these two chapters is also brief. Okay, the rest I provide you, maybe I'm providing you 60% or 70% of the things that you need to have. The rest 30% maybe you need to find on your own. Okay, so do we have any group of presentation for tonight? Hello,
Yes, sir.
do we have any group of presentation for tonight?
Yes, sir.
How many group that we actually expecting to have actually? Is it two?
Yes. True.
Okay. All right, all right. So maybe I can invite first group from group A and B, and it will follow with the second group with group C. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So without further ado, so I want to invite a first group to share their thoughts on the on the presentation sessions. Class, before I forgot, I was being asked by your KPP, Dr. Nohayati. So on next month, okay, not on May, which is on 4th of June, okay, 4th of June. Please remark 4th of June will be on Tuesday. So please make it yourself to be free on the evening, because all of you are compulsory to be attend with one session by the Securities Commission regarding the financial market seminar. Okay, so 4th of June, okay, 4th of June, please make it yourself to be free at that time. Okay, because we are going to receive some sort of sharing session, a very short seminar by a representative from a Securities Commission, and our faculty has choose a student from a financial market class to be their audience. So I think that will be a good for you also, so that you can have some additional knowledge, some additional input whenever you are going to that event after this. If you think this time or this date are not really convenience at your time, at your side, okay, please discuss among yourself first, and please get the right time so that we can arrange it further after this. Okay, you can discuss it with your class rep. Okay, you can discuss it with your class rep, because all of the students under financial market institutions are compulsory to attend for a sharing session that's going to be provided by the Securities Commission personnel regarding the financial market institutions on month of June, inshallah. Okay, please discuss it first with your classmate, and maybe you can pass it the information or confirmation with through the class rep, and class rep, maybe Amir or Emilia, can give me a new confirmation. But what I was told this evening by your KPP, so faculty has set 4th of June. So all of the financial market institution students are compulsory to join this session. It's a face-to-face session, so you need to attend this session maybe at Dewan Perdana or Dewan Kuliah Utama. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about the venue, but we just been told and we just been ordered to attend. Okay. So is it the group presenters are ready at this moment?
Doktor,
Yeah.
petang tu pukul berapa tak tahu lagi.
Maybe around 2 until 5. Hmm. Just half.
Tuesday kan, 4 Jun.
Yeah.
Tuesday kalau tu kita orang ada kelas.
Ataupun bincang dulu macam mana? Amir bincang dulu dengan classmate dan bincang dulu dengan Emilia. Make it all of you are available at that time. Boleh?
Boleh.
Okay. So Amir akan bincang untuk kelas dia. So nanti coordinate dengan Emilia.
Baik.
Right. Thank you, Amir. So now we are going to have a first group. And this group going to present the impact of fraud. Tak sempat nak baca title. Okay.
Okay, sir. Alright. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to my respectful lecturer, Dr. Nick, and my fellow friends. Today, my group mate will be presenting about assessing the impact of financial fraud on corporate value and investor trust. So today, we will discussing about the types of fraud, introduction to fraud, impact, and how to avoid fraud. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Suhada Fitri binti Agus Salim. My matrix number is 067839. So I'll be presenting about introduction of fraud. Okay, so basically, what is fraud? Okay, fraud, for a simple explanation, is an act of intentional deception designed to exploit a victim. Or it actually can be described also as a deliberate act of deceit or deception perpetrated by one party with the intention of unfairly gaining something of value at the expense of another party. Okay, this deceit.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So, I think I have mentioned in the last presentation sessions. So
Yes.
for every time of presentation, so I need to see your face.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot. Okay. All right. Can you see me, sir?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. So, uh, as I mentioned, fraud can be described as a deliberate act of deceit or deception perpetrated by one party within the intention of unfairly gaining something of value at the expense of other party. So, this deceit can take various of form, such as falsifying documents, providing false information, or misrepresenting facts. Okay, fraud often involves a violation trust, as the perpetrator, the person who do fraud, manipulates the trust or confidence of the victim for their own benefit. It can occur in many contexts, including financial transaction, contracts, online interaction, and personal relationship. Overall, fraud is characterized by dishonesty, deception, and a breach of ethical or legal standards. Okay, so as you guys can see in the slide, we can see a few accounting scandals that is very famous. I'm pretty sure you guys is very familiar with it. So the first accounting scandal is Enron, and then the next one is Cyberdynamic, and then we have AIG, and then Tyco. So I'll be sharing with you guys one of the accounting scandal that has been involving with fraud. So the first one is the Enron scandal was a big mess involving a company called Enron. So it caused Enron scandal because the name of the company is Enron. So Enron used to be a big deal in the energy business, but it all went downhill in 2001 because of some really bad stuff they did, which is the people in charge in Enron were playing tricks with the company's money. They were lying about how much money they were making. They hiding debts and pretending things were going great even though they were not. So they did this to make themselves and the company look way more successful than they were. So this lying made investors think that Enron was a great place to put their money, but it was all fake. When the truth come out, Enron's values tanked and lots of people lost job, lost money, and even some of them have lost retirement savings. So it was a huge mess back then, and it showed how important it is for companies to be honest and transparent with their finances. So that's it for introduction about fraud and a little bit story about company that involving fraud. Next, my group mate will be sharing with you guys about the types, impact, and how to avoid fraud. Thank you.
Dah ada ke semua? Hi, my name is Nurul Amir Izzati binti Nurul Zaihan, and my matric number is 068101. I will talk about types of fraud and how it occurs. Firstly, financial fraud. This involves misrepresentation or manipulation of financial information for personal gain. This includes embezzlement, accounting fraud, or falsifying financial statement. Secondly, identity theft. In this type of fraud, someone steals another person's personal information, such as social security number, credit card details, or bank account information to make an authorized transaction or obtain loans or credit in their names. Lastly, pyramid scheme or Ponzi scheme. This fraudulent investment scheme promise high returns to investor, but use funds from new investor to pay returns to earlier investor rather than generating legitimate profits. That's all from me. Sudah.
Okay. Sorry, sir. Okay. Thank you to the previous presenters. Firstly, I would just say Assalamualaikum and very good evening to Dr. Nick and audiences. Okay, before I continue with my part, which is the impact of fraud on corporate value, I'd like to make a quick introduction of myself. So my name is Siti Nurbaya binti Rahmat, and my matrix number is 068409. So, as everybody knows, any dishonest or illegal activities actually may be motivated by the willingness to gain unfair advantages or even to cause harm to others. So such fraudulent actions can actually cause bad consequences towards companies, employees, stakeholders, and economy as a whole. So I am about to educate the audiences here about the impact of fraud on the corporate value. So the first thing to consider about the fraud is actually can lead to potential legal repercussions. So fraud is an dishonest activity that violating the principle of integrity, which is can be considered as a compulsory ethical code within a company's operation. Okay, and hence any misconduction activities that related to violation of integrity can lead to the legal sanctions. Okay, and it actually depends on the nature and the severity of the fraud. Okay, so in some decided cases, actually, there have been many cases where companies have been sanctioned for lawsuits, penalties, which then lead to the loss of their reputation. So since fraud is not tolerable in laws, so very strict rules and regulations have been enacted to ensure that the perpetrators of fraud must be punished with severe punishment. So the next one is, the next one, the aftermath of fraud on the corporate value is it actually undermines the employee morale and trust. So actually, when employee discover fraudulent actions in their workplace, it will actually create sense of betrayal and erode their trust, okay, in the organization. So this can then create a sense of betrayal, which then will establish a decline in morale, as employee may highly be feel demoralized or disengaged by the fraudulent action that happened at their workplace. So we are all possesses the ability to realize that trust is a crucial element whenever it comes to maintaining a positive work environment, fostering collaboration, and promoting employees' loyalty. So the company can only seem to be reaching their organization's goal if the employee and the employer see the same stream of vision and goals, which then will high probably be failing to succeed if the employee has no longer trust on the organization. Okay, so it is important to keep a very trusted accountability and transparency in the company's operation. So actually, fraud is strictly not accepted. So thank you for listening. My part, I will be passing the presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, my friend. So first of all, my name is Nufara Ohida binti Kamarudin, and my metric number is 066802. Okay, let's move on to the next point. Fraud is also potentially to cause irreparable damage to a company's reputation. It can happen mostly when negative incident or scandal tarnish their image in the eyes of the public. What is the fixed notice in the community all around the globe? Trust is here to be, set to break, and forever to repair. As the saying goes, once trust is lost, it can be incredibly challenging to regain it. The impact can be long-lasting, affecting customer perception, brand loyalty, and even future business opportunities. Even if the company takes steps to address the issue and make amends, the stain on its reputation may linger for a longer time. Hence, rebuilding trust, restoring a positive image can be an uphill battle for the company. Okay, so moving on. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Okay. So moving on, what's the impact of fraud to the investor trust? We have three impacts, which are increasing market volatility, hinder the trust and faith of an investor while investing, and reputational damage. Okay, so for the first one is increase in market volatility. Market volatility refers to the degree of variation in the prices of financial assets over time. Fraudulent activities can trigger market volatility as investors react to news of fraud by selling off affected assets or pulling out of the market altogether, see fluctuation in the prices. Fraudulent introduce uncertainty into the market as investors grapple with question about the true financial health and integrity of the company involved. Uncertainty tends to increase volatility as investors adjust their expectations and investment strategies. In cases of fraud, investors may become concerned about the liquidity of the affected asset, leading to reluctance to buy or hold. Reduced liquidity can amplify the price movement and contribute to deepened volatility. Yes, so that's all from me. We are moving on to the next presentation.
Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. I'm Nur Khalifah Najwa binti Ramli and my metric number is 068658. So moving on to the impact about the financial fraud to the investor trust. So we have the red, hinder the trust and faith of an investor while investing, and the last one is reputational damage. So firstly, hinder the trust and faith of an investor while investing. So when the financial fraud happen in the company that the investor invest, it will lead them to questioning the reliability of the financial statement, disclosure and assurance provided by the company and the financial institution. So it will resulting that they would never want to make any investment in the company that they invest anymore because they doesn't want to deal with any losses because the company they invest has made. So secondly, reputational damage. So reputational damage is when the investor found out that there's a financial fraud happened in the company they invest, it will lead them to the company, it will arise the long-term consequences between the company and the investor because it will result the harm relationship between the company toward the customer relationship, employee morally, and also stakeholder perception. So when the other investors see that the company has bad performance, so it will lead them to the reputational damage. So that's all for me for the impact of fraud financial to the investor trust.
Hi, my name is Nur Hafiza binti Nasir. Next, I will present about how to avoid fraud. Avoiding financial fraud in accounting requires a combination of preventive measures and vigilant oversight. Here are some steps to help. The first one is segregation of duties. Separate accounting duties among different employees to prevent one individual from having sole control over financial transactions. For example, the person responsible for recording transactions should not be the same person responsible for authorizing payment. Second, training and awareness. Provide training to employees on fraud prevention, detection, and reporting. Educate staff about the importance of ethical behavior and the consequences of thief or fraud. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Hi, my name is Noor Afni Jasmine, and my metric number is 059181. So the next step is limit access. To protect sensitive financial information, it's important to limit who can access it. This can be done by using strong and unique password for accessing financial account and system. Encryption adds an extra layer of security by scrambling the data, making it unreadable without the correct decryption key. Physical security measures such as locks and surveillance further restrict access to physical storage area. By implementing this practice, company can significantly reduce the risk of unauthorized access to sensitive financial information, safeguarding corporate value and investor trust. And last point, report suspicion activity is a crucial in preventing and addressing fraud in financial activity. For example, if any employee notice any unauthorized transaction or changes to the account information, report it to your financial institution immediately. Keep a record of all communication regarding the suspecting fraud. So in conclusion, the impact of financial fraud on corporate value and investor trust can be significant. It not only result in financial losses, but also damage reputation and trust. To mitigate this risk, it is crucial for companies to implement strong security measures, such as limiting access to sensitive information, using encryption, and encourage employees to report suspicious activity. By taking proactive steps to prevent and address fraud, companies can protect their corporate value and maintain an investor trust. That's all from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much to this group. So now we proceed on the second group. So perhaps on the second group, you can provide a better conclusion for your presentations. Okay, so please bear in mind, whenever you go for presentations, okay, the first thing is when actually people expecting from the presentation is we actually expecting what you are going to discuss and what you are going to tell us. Make it simple, make it brief, and after you have explained to them with your explanations, with your comprehensive explanations, so make sure you are going to provide them a very brief and very simple conclusion on whatever that you have explained to them before. Okay, so please, second group, prepare your gears and deliver your presentation. Do we have a second group or we don't have a second group?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good evening everyone. We are from Group 5 BSc NAMC and today we are going to present about a topic that has been given to us, which is unveiling the shadow, analyzing the impact of shadow banking on corporate financial fraud. But before, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nur Anissa binti Nurdinyo and my matrix number is 065691. And today I am going to be the first presenter for today's presentation. So, what is unveiling shadow banking? Unveiling shadow banking is a process of revealing or uncovering the operations, mechanism, and consequences of shadow banking activities. So, what is actually the meaning of shadow banking? Shadow banking is a system of credit creation that operates outside of regular traditional bank activities. For a better understanding, shadow banking refers to a financial intermediaries and activities that exist outside of the traditional banking system and regulatory framework. These entities and practices frequently involve credit intermediation, liquidity transformation, and risk transfer, similar to some traditional bank functions, but subject to less regulatory oversight. Next slide. Okay. Why is it important for us to study shadow banking? Shadow banking activity operate with less regulatory oversight, posing systematic risks that can destabilize the financial system. Understanding these activities is vital for implementing effective regulations to mitigate risk and safeguard financial stability. In addition, shadow banking can also significantly impact corporate financial fraud in several ways. The first one is lack of transparency. Shadow banking operates outside of traditional banking regulations, leading to a lack of transparency. This opacity can make it easier for companies to engage in fraudulent activities without detection. The second one is shadow banking can also increase leverage. Shadow banking can provide companies with access to additional leverage beyond what traditional banks would allow, increasing the risk of insolvency or fraudulent behavior to sustain or hide financial issues. The third one is interconnectedness with the financial system. Despite operating in the shadows, these entities are often interconnected with the traditional banking system. This relationship can mask the true risk of exposure of companies, leading to a systematic risk and potentially fostering environments where fraud can go unnoticed until it is too late. And last but not least, shadow banking can also bring lack of oversight. The minimal oversight and regulatory scrutiny in the shadow banking system can create an environment where unethical financial practices and fraud are more likely to occur, as the deterrents and checks present in the traditional banking systems are absent. That is all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter to continue the presentation. Thank you. Sir, kejap ya, ada isu je dengan kamera.
Hello everyone, my name is Rashida Venturuduan and my matric number is 06687. Alright, now I will explain to you about the shadow banking. So what exactly is the shadow banking in a simple way? So shadow banking is refers to financial activities that conducted by non-bank financial intermediaries that operating outside the regulatory framework of traditional banks. And these activities often involve the credit intermediation, liquidity provision, and maturity transformation. And next. Okay, so how do we know the transaction happened in the type of shadow banking? So what the shadow banking characteristic? So firstly is by lacking the traditional deposit taking function that typically doesn't take deposit from customers. Secondly is by reliance on short-term funding from the wholesale markets rather than the long-term deposit. And thirdly is by engaging in maturity transformation by borrowing short-term and lending long-term that exposing them to the liquidity risk. So here are some examples of the activities that engage in shadow banking, which are the bond funds, money market funds, and finance companies. Now I will pass the presentation for the next person.
Okay, sorry. Hello everyone. My name is Nurkia Satina Karim Binti Jalil and my matrix number is 066417. Okay, I will continue the presentation by explaining the example case that can relate it to this topic. So, a case that can be used as an example is 1MDB scandal. 1MDB stands for One Malaysia Development Berhad. The 1MDB scandal is one of the most famous financial scandals in Malaysian history. This scandal involved allegations of large-scale financial mismanagement involving bribery and alleged money laundering through complex financial transactions that may have involved shadow banking entities. Okay, so in this case, several well-known people, including ex-former Prime Minister Najib Razak, have been linked to the fraud. They are said to have taken billions of dollars from state-owned investment institutions for their own benefit. Okay, why does this case pertain to today's topic? The first one is because of the misappropriation of funds. This scandal involves the misappropriation of billions of dollars from 1MDB scandals. It is believed that this money were not used for the original development's purpose, but were instead used for political funding, personal gains, and to support their lavish lifestyles. In addition, the second one is lack of transparency. Okay, compared to the traditional banking systems, shadow banking institutions frequently function with less oversight from regulators and transparency. The lack of transparency in this case allowed the transfer of funds without detection for long periods. And lastly, there are also complex financial transactions. This scandal involved alleged complex financial transactions carried out through various channels, including offshore accounts and shell companies. These transactions often bypass the traditional banking system and involve entities linked to shadow banking. Okay, next slide. Okay, we move to the differences between traditional banking and shadow banking. So here I want to explain about traditional banking first. For traditional banking, it is conducted by regulated banks. Traditional banking happens through banks that are closely watched and controlled by government authorities. It's like giving them a loan and these regulations are put in place to make sure that banks operate safely and fairly, protecting both the bank and its customers. Okay, next, traditional banking also offers deposit taking services. Traditional bankings are where you can put your money for safekeeping. When you deposit money into a bank, it is like giving them a loan, and in return, they keep your money safe and sometimes even pay you interest on it. This is why they are called deposit taking services. And traditional banking also as a central bank acts as a lender of last resort. In the world of traditional banking, there's a special bank called the central bank. It's like the big brother of all banks in a country. One of its important job is to step in and help out banks if they are having trouble. Think of it as a safety net. When traditional banks run into trouble and can't get money from anywhere else, they can turn to the central bank as a last resort to get the help they need to keep operating smoothly. Okay, I think that's all from me. I will pass the presentation to Rushidia to continue the presentation.
Okay, hello again. Now I will continue the presentation about the shadow banking. So firstly, the differences for the shadow banking is conducted by a non-bank financial institution that operate with less regulatory scrutiny, such as hedge fund and investment bank. So this shadow banking is not following the same rules as a traditional bank. This is because they operate with less oversight and they can take more risk, which might cause bigger issue for the whole financial system in the future. And secondly, for the shadow banking, it does not typically accept any deposits, but relies on short-term funding from the wholesale markets, and depending too much on the short-term money, a little bit will be risky for them, especially when the market is going through tough times. And lastly, is the shadow banking will engage in activity like securitization, which is the bundling and selling of loans to investors, and money market funds, which is the mutual funds that invest in short-term debt security. So these activities can help get money flowing and offer chances to invest, but they can also be riskier compared to what regular banks do. This is because it's like possibly not getting paid back or losing money if the market changes. So I think that's all for the differences between the traditional banking and shadow banking. Now let's move on to the next presenter. Okay, my name is Wano Aida Kasina binti Wa Muhammad Zafarid. My matric number is 066731. So I will present about corporate financial fraud. Corporate financial fraud refers to the deliberate actions taken by individuals within a company to manipulate financial information or misrepresent financial performance for personal gain or to deceive stakeholders. This can include activities such as falsifying financial statements, inflating revenue, understating expenses, or engaging in deceptive accounting practices. Next slide. Next, the implication of corporate financial fraud, which are first, legal consequences. Companies and individuals involved in financial fraud may face legal action, including fines, penalties, and imprisonment. Second, economic instability. Financial fraud can contribute to economic instability by undermining market confidence and affecting overall market performance. In several cases, it can trigger financial crises and market downturns. Last but not least, employee morale and retention. Fraudulent activities can erode employee morale and trust in company leadership, leading to decreased productivity, increased turnover, and difficulties in attracting and retaining talent. So that's all for me. I'll pass it to the next presenter.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nur Adriana Suhaila Abdurrahman. Sorry. Okay, hi, my name is Nur Adriana Suhaila Abdurrahman and my matric number is 066693. Now, I would like to continue the presentation about some common types of corporate financial fraud. First and foremost, revenue recognition fraud is an example of corporate financial fraud. This comprises recognizing revenue prematurely or recording fictitious revenue in order to inflate financial performance. As an instance, recognizing revenue from incomplete sales or shipping products before sales are finalized. Following that is expense manipulation. This implies understanding or misclassifying expenses in order to make the company's financial position appear better than it is. Delaying the recording of expenses for future, for example, or categorizing personal costs as business expenses or forwarding them to future periods. Lastly, it's possible to commit financial statement fraud because it includes a variety of deceptive practices intended to misrepresent financial statements to investors, creditors, or other stakeholders. Accounting records can be falsified, financial ratios manipulated, and liabilities concealed. So now let's proceed to the next slide. Detecting and preventing financial fraud within corporations is crucial for several kinds of reasons. To begin with is preserving trust and reputation. Detecting and preventing financial fraud helps maintain the trust and confidence of stakeholders, including investors, shareholders, customers, and partners. A reputation for integrity and transparency is essential for long-term business success. Furthermore, we have legal compliance. Implementing measures to detect and prevent financial fraud ensures that the company complies with relevant laws, regulations, and industry standards. Failure to prevent fraud can result in legal consequences, fines, penalties, and reputational damage. So the last one is financial stability. Financial fraud can have severe consequences for companies' financial stability. By detecting and preventing fraud, companies can safeguard their financial health, protect assets, and maintain sustainable growth. So I think that's all from me. So now let's move to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Nurin Akila binti Zainuddin. My metric number is 066516. Next, I will continue presentation about strategy to mitigate the risk associated with shadow banking and corporate financial fraud. Mitigate the risk require a multi-phase approach that involves regulatory measure, enhance transparency, and improve risk management practice. Firstly, by strengthening regulatory oversight of shadow banking and to ensure compliance with existing laws and regulation. Enhanced regulatory refers to strengthen and improve the supervision and control measure in place by regulatory authorities. Next, to mitigate risk is by education and awareness. Increase awareness and understanding of the risk by financial fraud among policymakers, regulator, industry participant, and investor. Also, we can provide training and education program to enhance the capacity of financial institutions and regulatory authorities to mitigate risk associated with shadow banking activities. Then we can promote a culture of compliance and ethical conduct within the financial industry. Lastly, to mitigate the risk is by technological innovation. Leverage technological innovations such as artificial intelligence, machine learning can enhance risk management capabilities and improve the detection and prevention of financial fraud within the shadow banking system. Company can invest in advance of analytic and data analytic tools to enhance the monitoring and analysis of shadow banking activities and identify potential red flag or area of concern. Now we move to the next slide, which is important of enhance oversight and transparency in the financial system. Enhanced oversight and transparency play a crucial role in ensuring the stability, integrity, and efficiency of the financial system. Firstly, the important is maintaining financial stability. Enhanced oversight allows regulators to identify systematic risks within their financial system. By monitoring key indicators and market activities, regulators can detect emerging threats and take preventive measures to mitigate potential system risks. With improved oversight and transparency, regulators can prevent financial crises and minimize their adverse impact on the economy. Next, the important is promoting market integrity. Detect misconduct and fraud enable regulator and market participants to detect misconduct, fraud, and market manipulation more effectively. By monitoring transaction, disclosure, and market activity, regulator can identify suspicious behavior and take enforcement action to uphold market integrity. Lastly, the important is it can improve risk management. Regulator can ensure that financial institutions maintain adequate capital buffer, liquidity reserve, and risk management practice. With greater transparency, financial institutions are more likely to manage risk effectively and avoid excessive risk taking, also maintain financial soundness. I think that's all from our group. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Nurin and her group mates. So with that, thank you to all of you class who joining this session for tonight. So inshallah, we are going to meet again on next week, and maybe we need to have another replacement class so that because on next week on Wednesday we still have another holiday, which is on the 1st May, right, on our class. So we try to get our replacement class on Tuesday, but I'm going to confirm to all of you again on next week. So inshallah, Okay, we end up our class with tasbih kafarah and suratul as.